Okay, it's going.
Okay, so it is 7:01 and we're starting the Conservation Commission meeting for the City of Torrington for Thursday, June 11th. And let's see, we'll have a roll call. So Jim?
Yes, here.
Okay, Dan?
Here.
Thomas?
Here.
Robert?
Here.
Myself, Chris Altman, here, and staff, Jeremy.
Here.
Okay. So the first order of business is the minutes for approval.
So moved.
Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Was that?
Second.
Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
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 Do I have to run through everybody's name? It sounds like it
Yeah,
was-
just because everybody's on the phone, just so we
Okay.
can.
All right. So Jim?
Yes. Good.
Dan?
Yes.
Thomas?
Yes.
Bob?
Yes.
Myself? Yes. Motion carries.
Okay.
Okay, there's no new business. Old business. Review and approval of advisory comments for Bessie Pond cleanup project for application before the Inland Wetlands Commission.
So yesterday afternoon, I sent at least what I had filled out in the project review checklist, just for everybody to review to see if they had if anybody had any other, opinions or changes on that. And then I put together the memo off of that. It's not quite as lengthy as the draft one anyway. It's not quite as lengthy as the last one we did. I basically only did a few basic recommendations. One was preservation of there's an area of cattails there that's of good use to wildlife. So I left there's a large area of trees and shrubs and that they want to remove, but on the sort of away from that on the I guess would be the eastern side of the pond. There's an area of cattails I'm hoping they can preserve. And then preservation of specimen trees over 18 inches, if there are any. And if they need to remove them, maybe they can do some mitigation and plant some other trees around the perimeter. Proper erosion controls and environmentally friendly reuse of the organic spoils that they take out of the pond.
Okay. All right.
Yeah, I have no further comments on my end.
That's having visited the site, that was really, from a conservation standpoint, all I could really think of. The rest of it, I mean, we're just saying, it's a positive, positive project for water quality, basically.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's fine.
Yeah, I don't see anything else. So are you even talking about the trees on the peninsula?
So that whole area is proposed to be removed, but I don't know what there is in there for actual trees. If they're going to remove a bunch of specimen trees, then they should at least replant something,
Right.
off of that.
What would constitute a specimen tree?
So that we define it as 18-inch DBH.
Oh, I see. Okay.
Yeah.
I'd be surprised if there was anything that big.
And there may not be. There may be a couple that are close, but I
Yeah.
don't think,
Okay. Yeah, I don't have any other comments on it.
Could I just pop in with one question?
Yeah. Oh.
Go ahead.
The question is, my recollection from our last meeting was that there was would be a recommendation or might be a recommendation that something be done on an annual basis or that we better understand what their plan was. Not on a regular and/or scheduled and/or annual basis. Am I remembering that correctly, or is that?
Yes. So we did bring that. There are a couple of wetland commission members here. So if I remember correctly, they're doing like a grid, but they're not doing the whole thing at each year. So it is going to be broken out over like a 5-year schedule.
Right, they are doing something annually.
But not the entire pond.
Right, I was trying to figure out exactly what that was, because my hope was that they get a little deeper every year, but I think that yeah, they're just breaking the pond up into sections that are doable per year for 5 years.
Yeah. And that's just what Parks and Rec is shooting for a contract. I'm sure it's going to be beyond the 5 years, but they're probably just doing one contract to start.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, this is Jim. I got a question, Jeremy. Did they give you an idea how much deeper each year that would make the pond deeper? If you get what I'm at.
They really didn't give an estimate.
No, nothing. Yeah.
It's that rake just picks up organic material.
Yeah.
I wanted to say we had they did some, not a Secchi disc, but there's another type of test they did where they put like a heavy rod into the, substrate of the pond, and they can kind of get an estimate of how deep, because it's not really a dredging. They're not dredging. They're just, it's a rake. So it's picking up just a lighter organic stuff.
Did they say something like between 9 and 12 inches?
Yeah. Was that what they said?
That's what I recall, but my recall isn't always perfect.
But over the whole width of the pond, that's a lot of material.
There was some talk, I'm sorry for interrupting.
No problem.
There was some talk some years back, and the city engineer, I guess, did a study, and to get that pond to an adequate depth, there was some 500,000 cubic yards of fill that needed to be taken out to make it sustainable for fish year round. Right now the pond is so shallow that it just gets overheated during the summer, especially a dry summer, warm summer. The fish can't survive, or at least maybe some bullheads make it, but other fish don't. And I think at some point we should recommend that the pond actually, gets down to some depth. Something in the neighbor of at least one spot should be at least 15 or 20 feet deep.
Yeah. To
let fish survive through the hot spell.
Yeah, and it's not deep enough for that cold water turnover.
Right.
My understanding, Jim, because this was a concern during the wetlands meeting, was that it seems more likely that, so number one was that silt really wasn't going to be coming up with this contract. Would that be correct, Jeremy?
Yeah, it's really just focusing on the organic.
It's going to be muck and leaves and algae and organic material. But what my understanding was that we have more of a chance of getting this project completed over the course of a little bit every year.
Sure. Well, I have no problem. I think it's a good start.
Yeah.
There's no question about that.
But I agree with you that we should continue to recommend that silt removal be done. And it seems like, I mean, my understanding or what was going through my head during the meeting was that we want to take out small enough amounts of fill that were kind of under the radar of Army Corps.
Of Army Corps, yeah.
Because Army Corps was the agency that put the kibosh on our original plan that we were seeking funding for, if you recall.
Yeah, and that may be why they're breaking it up the way they are over 5 years. Part of the reason too. But once they take that big peninsula off too, we might see some some improvement. some temperature improvement. I mean, along with the fish habitat, we're trying to like kill the algae blooms too by dropping the temperature, the overall.
So this is Bob. I've liked the conversations that's taken place in the last 10 minutes. I'm curious to know, is anybody kind of watching that subject? Are we working with anyone on, actually assessing the wildlife that may be supported by the pond and or encouraged by certain changes in its nature?
We have a couple reports that I just skimmed, and I don't think there was any wildlife analysis in there. There was, mostly like water quality analysis.
Yeah, but I raised that because of an earlier comment somebody made that I thought was good, which is, what are we trying to accomplish here besides clean water and some better, less silt buildup and that kind of stuff? I mean, is there some grander plan to create a better habitat is really what I'm asking.
I don't think it's I guess it depends. It depends on your perspective, right? So right now, the pond is kind of functioning like a swamp.
Mm-hmm.
If you look at I walk around the pond often, and so it's certainly not doing an analysis, but what I see there on a regular basis are snapping turtles, and there's things like green herons.
Yep.
At the pond.
Good.
But I feel like when I was a kid, the bottom of Brightwood Avenue was a swamp, and then we would go down there and pull. There's condos there now, but we'd go pull, snapping turtles and I don't know. There were always leeches in there and some kind of interesting bird life, but and it's functioning as that kind of habitat. But if you want it to be what it was a few decades ago, where it was a pond that supported fish, that it's not doing, and
Right.
has not been for years.
Yeah.
And I think the objective from, it's the Parks and Rec Department that's leading this. They basically want to get rid of the algae, and they want to make it better for recreation, for fishing. Yeah, well, for fishing and,
Right. So if that's their goal, then it has to be deeper, which is
Yeah.
and it sounds like that has to take place over the long haul, a little bit at a time.
Yeah, and all I'm saying to that is it would be nice if it was a plan. I mean, if your objective is to have fishing in there, you have a plan. I know somebody on this call in a prior meeting said, the lifespan, I think it may have been you, Chris, but the lifespan of a pond is 10 years or something.
About 10 years is
That's
10 years is about the plant life of a pond. Yeah.
Yeah. So I think that it's interesting to note that, and then to say, well, okay, this is a good first step. What are we trying to accomplish? And if the one of the primary objective is to make it really good for recreational use, which of course includes fishing to my mind, then how do you accomplish that over a period of the 5 years or 10 years we're talking about? Do we stock it at some point, et cetera, et cetera? I just, I feel like we're just talking about step one out of
Right.
a potential of 5 or 10 steps.
So Bob, do you want a report for what are you asking for? Do you want Park and Rec to tell us what their plan is?
I actually would. They may have one already. I do wonder. I think it's kind of our responsibility at a project like this to just say, well, what's best for the community. And I don't think that's I think that's a reasonable request to say, well, what is it you're trying to accomplish besides, and when you say making it, without going crazy here, mind you, when you say you want to make it good for recreational use, how do you define that, and how will what we're doing this time and in the few years coming going to accomplish that? I'd love to hear that answer. And it may be a 2-minute phone call, but I just don't feel like we have that answer.
Yeah. One point of interest, the state of Connecticut will stock a pond that is declared fishable, and will stock it for what they call an inner city fishing pond. Mm-hmm. Waterbury has them, and I think Hartford, several large cities in Connecticut have them, and the state is responsible for stocking the ponds once they deem the ponds acceptable for that purpose.
And to that end, I wonder if there's any deep funding out there.
Oh, there might be. There just might be. Yeah. Yeah, we could talk to Rick Jacobson at some point in time to see. I know I discussed it some years back with Bill. He's retired now, but
Oh yeah, I know who you're talking about. Yeah.
yeah, and he said that they would, if the pond was depth, depth in the water was clean enough that the state would declare it an inner city pond for fishing, and they would take responsibility for stocking it.
Whose purview is this, Jeremy? Is this ours or is it Park and Rec Department?
So it's owned. This one's Park and Rec. We don't have any open space on this one.
Right. So, and then in that, Dan, what is our role other than advisory?
It's just advisory. Yeah, we're giving advice on conservation related issues for this.
And would it be rude for us to ask what their goals are?
No, I actually wrote it
Okay.
down. I mean, I don't know if you want to actually put that in this memo or if you just want me to call Brett. I mean, that's.
What do you think, Bob?
I'm perfectly satisfied with just you making a phone call as long as we get the answer. It doesn't have to be formal. It can be informal.
And if they have one, then I'll get it and we can discuss it next meeting.
Great. I think that's, from my perspective, that's part of our role. Is.
Yep, I have a note here to call him, give him a
Thank
call.
you. That's great.
Okay.
And if he doesn't have one, maybe we could help him out with looking into some funding, some state funding or private funding.
It would be nice to have to collaborate because we certainly have or have had our own agenda regarding it.
Yep.
Well, I can remember going back in the 70s and maybe into early 80s when there was a lot of fishing going on in that pond. Every kid in the neighborhood was down there fishing.
And all the ice skating in the winter, which hasn't happened in.
Yep.
And that there was excellent skating for the kids. Lights used to be on at night and all of that. It was kind of a interesting pond, back of some years.
Yeah.
Well,
It'd be
with
nice.
added depth to the pond, it may make it safe to skate on again. Right now, it's too shallow. I mean,
Right.
the water's too shallow for it to get any good ice.
Right.
Sure, absolutely, yeah.
Wow, are
It
you
would
saying?
be nice to pass it on to Park and Rec for some future plans.
Yep.
And maybe we can help them, making contact with the state and et cetera. Yeah.
Yep.
Jeremy, are you saying that a pond's better with the depth, greater depth, it will freeze better? I'm just.
Well, when you get shallow water, that
Yep.
that muck on the bottom keeps the surface warmer even in the winter, so the ice doesn't
Yep.
Did not know
That's
that.
true. Yep.
And it
Yeah.
heaves, it gets cracked and
Yeah.
it's on, when there is ice, it's got all different levels on it. And it's just
It's like soft ice. You don't get that hard ice to skate on.
I learned
Does
something.
anybody remember when they drilled wells, test bores around that pond? That was way before the plans for the swimming pool. That there was plans for the pond to be a swimming pond.
oh, really? I don't.
And
that would have been,
and the state came in and drilled test bores, several test bores around to see if there was enough water to generate from wells to supply the pond. And that in fact happened back in the 70s.
It's there. It says you can't see it, but only Bob can see this.
Yeah, I can see it.
But it says borings all around the pond.
Oh, cool.
It's basically a grid pattern in the pond, and there's 20. I'm counting 22 borings that were done
Mm-hmm.
around the pond.
Yeah.
I have it in this old file here. Well, it's not an old file, but it's 2000-ish.
Well, I think the test borings wasn't that was plans when they were thinking about digging it. I'm talking about actually drilling wells to supply water.
right.
Yeah, and this goes back, like I said, in the 70s.
Oh, way back
Uh,
after, no.
Yeah, way back then, and they drilled to see if it could supply the pond with enough cold water and clean water to make the pond a swimming pond.
Yeah.
And that there just never was enough money to at that time to go and convert the pond to a swimming facility. You know.
They're probably better off with the pool. Did they give, I mean, I remember when the pool went in that it had problems immediately with leaking and everything else. Did that all get fixed?
I'm not sure. The pool?
Yeah,
Yeah, no, I'm not sure.
okay.
So I'm actually just looking at the thing with the borings, and it looks like we got anywhere from 2 feet to 5 feet of muck on the bottom of the pond.
Right. Something about 500,000 cubic yards of stuff to take out was a number that I remember that was discussed.
That included all of the silt from the east end that's been migrating down the hill for.
Right, absolutely, yeah.
Yeah, they have notes here for organic and silt. And I'm just looking at the organic because that would be probably what this rake's going to get. And
Well, that would be great if it increased 5 feet.
yeah, and it actually,
Well,
way up by the peninsula, it's in the 6 to 8 foot range too.
Yeah.
Wow.
It's a good start. I think
Yeah.
it would be that would be helpful.
All right.
So unless we had anything to add to the memo, we would just need a motion to I guess accept it and refer it to the Inland Wetland Commission.
I'll make a motion that we accept it as written.
Okay, that's Jim. Who's got a second?
I'll second it.
Is that Dan?
Yep.
Okay. A motion and a second. I'll go through a roll. Jim,
Yay.
Dan,
Yes.
Tom,
Yes.
Bob, myself, I'm an aye. So motion carries.
And that was Jim and seconded by Dan, right?
Correct.
Okay.
All right. Next order of old business, continued discussion schedule for open space parcel inventory and data collection.
I haven't done anything since our last meeting with this, but I'm supposed to get everybody their smaller parcels we can do individually.
All right.
It's been a little crazy with permits. Everybody's home.
Yeah.
Everybody's
Well-
home doing home projects, so the permits have been like twice as much as last year.
Well, it just makes me feel better about how long it took us to do what we did
Yeah.
over the course of however many years.
Well, we were making a good dent for a while, and then everything just kind of screeched.
Okay. We'll just wait on that.
Yeah.
And then-
It is still on my to-do list.
Okay. 2020 DEP open space acquisition grant run and Leone property discussion.
So I've sent 2 emails to the property owner, and I have not gotten a response yet. So I was going to try to catch up with Arista today, but she's out today and tomorrow because I don't know if she's got a better contact, but this is the guy we were talking to before. So haven't gotten a response back yet. So I mean, we may wind up missing this window.
Sounds like it.
Oh, sorry to interrupt. Is he working with a real estate agent, or is it just kind of for sale by owner?
This was just contact to say, is the property still available and can we chat more? It was just that simple because we haven't talked to him since last May, I think.
Okay.
So it's been over a year.
Jeremy, are the taxes paid on that property?
They were as of 3 months ago. I'm assuming. they
Okay.
still are.
Okay. So there's no risk of that. It would be nice if they didn't pay taxes on it
Yeah.
and the town took it over.
Yeah, I did dive into the file a little bit more last week, and the property owner was very adamant that he didn't want to drop his price just based on the emails that I
Yeah,
read.
yeah,
But
yeah.
you know, we're a year down the line now. Maybe he's tired of holding on to the land. Who knows? But they were in the $170,000 range somewhere, and they came down. They came down to 100 and I want to say 135 or something, and we had to do a whole bunch of fundraising just to pick up,
Sure.
and it just didn't happen.
Okay.
And the assessments have gone up, so that was upsetting him too at the same time.
Yeah.
Some of this goes back to Kim's time.
Right.
So I'll talk to Rist. Rist is not back until Monday. I'll see if she's got a better contact. But from what I had, we were exchanging emails with him last year. So
Jeremy, could you contact a realtor and just ask them if they can contact a commercial realtor and ask them if that property is still listed?
if it's still
sale?
listed, yeah.
That way, it would give you an idea. And if it is listed, then what the price is, what the asking price is, and how long it's been out there.
You need somebody with access to the MLS? Is that what you're saying?
I do have.
Well,
some-
somebody, a realtor, a commercial realtor that would be able to say, oh yeah, no, that's not on, or it's been sold or whatever,
Oh, I have access to the MLS.
Oh, you do?
Yep.
That would be the way to find it
Okay.
if it's still out there.
Okay. What do you have? What the actual address is, Jeremy?
I don't think it has an address, but I can give you a map, block, and lot number.
Okay.
Give me 1 sec. I just got to get to it. Where are you? Sorry, working my way up to it.
No worries.
All right, it's map 244,
Mm-hmm.
block 002,
Mm-hmm.
lot 002.
Okay.
And actually, I'll give you. You want me to give you the the old railroad too?
Sure.
That's 244 002 004.
Okay. Winston Road. Now, I don't think that would have been on as commercial. It would have been on as land, right?
So it's zoned industrial.
Okay. Industrial land. Okay. You want me to take a look right now?
Yeah. Oh, I don't know.
I mean, I could, but it's just up to you guys how long you want to be. How long you want to be here? Okay, let's see. And is the last name of the person who owns it now Leone?
It's listed as Leone Properties.
Okay. All right. Okay, let's just see. So I'm just gonna look right now for the last year,
Okay,
and then if nothing comes up, I will go further back, which I will do after the meeting because it's a pain in the neck.
okay.
Let's just see. So yeah, it hasn't been on the market, active, withdrawn, expired, or closed, or any status in the last year.
Okay.
Okay.
Yep. And they did just sell the parcel across the street this last year. So they're I don't know if they're actively marketing it.
Right. Well, what it might be is that they might not be in the MLS. Like they could just be for sale by owner at this point.
Yeah.
Or they could be marketing it with an agent who's not a realtor.
Okay.
So those are some possibilities. But yeah, I'll do a more thorough search
Okay.
and get back to you guys. All right. Nothing for communications.
I don't have anything. There's just one thing before we adjourn. The one thing I wanted to bring up is I noticed your old agendas used to have an open discussion at the end. Do you want me to put that back into the agenda? You think that's a good idea? I mean, I'm just kind of I'm kind of trained to put things that you discuss on the agenda and not leave things open. But this is an advisory commission, so.
We tend to do a lot of open discussion.
Yeah, right.
Everything else.
So if you want, I could put that on. Since we're not really a regulatory board, we can do stuff like that. So.
Well, what do the other members feel? We need
I
one?
would leave it off.
No.
No,
Okay.
I don't.
I mean, anytime anybody wants to discuss something, I can always just put it on the agenda.
Yeah.
Too. So.
Sure.
Yeah, I'm fine with that.
Yep.
I'm also good with that.
I just noticed as I was trying to wrangle up, stuff from older, Conservation Commission minutes.
Mm-hmm.
We got a freedom of information request for the Greenbrier project
Oh yeah.
from the neighbors up there. So they're requesting a lot of stuff from like 2012, 2013, from when we accepted the commission accepted the open space donation.
Yep.
So I had to go back and dig out some of those motions and minutes.
Oh, I see. So you were looking at our old agendas when we had an open discussion at the end.
Yeah, when Kim was still here. Yeah.
Yeah, I was around during most of those. And
Yeah. I just didn't know if that was something that just that went away
it wasn't really
on purpose,
anything
or-
that we usually skipped right over it,
Okay.
Yep.
All right.
if I recall. Or, I think that it was the chairperson of the commission at that point, was pretty hardcore with the gavel, and
Yeah.
it's like a very formal meeting. So if you wanted to discuss anything, you'd better have a place for it. But
Yeah.
no, I think what we have is fine.
Okay. Yep.
All right. So we need a motion for adjournment.
Make a
So
motion?
move.
Okay. Who was that? Who seconded?
Dan.
I'll
right?
second it. I'll second it.
Okay, so we'll say Dan made the motion, Jim seconded?
Yep.
Okay. And then I'll go through, all in favor, Jim,
Yay?
Dan,
Aye.
Tom,
Aye.
Bob,
Aye.
myself, I, so motion carries.
7:36 I got.
Me too.
Okay, great.
Thank you all.
All right.
Thanks, folks.
Okay,
Thank you,
everyone.
Everyone,
Yeah. Good night.
Good
Bye-bye.
night.
Good night.
Stay safe.
you too.